part in that as well. But I mean, it's his like style, the Attitude Era. Interesting that you and him like kind of I don't know, yin and yang, if you will. You're calling multiple bits. You guys get along, but do you have the same philosophy? It seems like it'd be different philosophy.
I think our philosophies are very similar based on the fact we're very into character development and creating reasons for why, like the context behind things, why this is happening. One thing we definitely both agree on is if this were real, if we get like lost in a block, same thing with a match. If something doesn't go according to plan, what would happen if this were real? So that was one of his tricks for writing. If he got lost and got stuck, he'd just think, well, if this were real, what would happen? And it would kind of guide him. So he gets a bad rep because of Crash TV and TNA and like, you know, crazy 90s, you know, Attitude Era shit. But at the end of the day, his concepts were correct because he weaves stories and things happen for a reason to get to something else more often than not. And another thing I think he was great at, if we don't look at it today, because, you know, like it's a 5-minute brawl match, you know, the stupid finish. Like, he's not caring about the finish. What he was great at, though, is everybody on the show had a point and a purpose and a meaning. You know, from the low card, mid card, to the, you know, top of the chain. So I thought, yeah, we're very like-minded like that.
It is interesting, like, just like, you know, like the dirt sheet guys, and like they have a certain opinion of them. But if you ask, yeah, they do. But if you ask Steve Austin, The Rock, and Mick Foley, 3 top guys ever, they love it.
Ask the people that have worked with people. Do not ask the people that are reporting other people's, you know, opinions as fact. So that was a thing too. Before I even met him, I'm like, you know, I grew up on the advent of the internet, becoming like, oh, this stinks, man. I met the guy, and A, they were the nicest men I've ever met. B, just conversations with him, I'm like, this guy, you know, he gets it. He gets it because he doesn't live it constantly. Like, he can see outside the bubble. And I think one problem with the current wrestling is everybody's kind of in the wrestling bubble, where the Attitude's Era success kind of went outside of it. Some was bad, don't like it. It's not apologetic for some of the dumbass shit he did.
Right.
But at least going out there and trying to bring more people in, that's how you cultivate and craft new fans.
To me, obviously not perfect, but like if you were grading him, WCW wasn't that good. Obviously, TNA was okay, but WWF, his WWF stuff, I mean, you gotta give him an A. I mean, his WWF stuff is Steve Austin and McMahon and Undertaker, Kane. I mean, it's great.
That's what apparently he was a secret consultant in TNA when EC3 was coming up, and you know, I didn't know that. We had no idea, but I guess he saw something in me. So.
Who creates EC3? I mean, you said kind of like, you know, Derek Bateman stuff. You're getting trained by Daniel Bryan, you leave. Like, just the process of creating it, because it's different, it's interesting. I know, obviously, it's Ethan Carter the third, but it's such an interesting character, so much different than Bateman was.
You have to evolve, always. And I think the difference was Derek Bateman standing out, being goofy and comedic was the one thing I could do to stand out in the atmosphere where it was just, I mean, the NXT shit was boring and stupid. So, yeah. Taking it seriously makes you look stupid.
What?
So, when I'm doing that, I'm like, well, if they're going to make me look like an idiot, at least I'm going to be the best idiot, and I'm going to out-idiot their idiocy. So that was kind of the concept between that. Going over to TNA, being put, okay, you're the nephew of the owner. Right off the bat, you know, okay, this spot's just going to get a chance to do something. Like, even if it didn't work right off the bat, it's not going to be 2 weeks in, nope, pull the plug, it sucks. It was going to have an opportunity. So the confidence in knowing that I'm not getting fired tomorrow and I'm being brought in for a reason allowed me to be like, okay, who would this person be? And then kind of taking from who I am for real and who I would see a rich, entitled, third-generation snug prick being, and how he would grow from this kind of guy that was handed tomato cans, owner of the nephew of the owner, to like a bona fide main eventer and a world champion. The progression he would have to take, the more, you know, serious he would have to be. the more battles he'd have to go through, the more scars he'd have to earn.
And when you look at it, the look, I mean, you're ripped, you're in shape, but if a guy looks like that, to me, and in a certain aspect, certain guys, like, if they have the look and they're giving them a good role, it's like, this guy can't not be somewhere near the top. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to the viewer.
Yeah. Aesthetic has to match the talent, too. And, you know, one thing I'm telling people that come in here, and any prospective wrestler in general, I think we've gotten away from it. Like, you're not a civilian. If you want to make it, if you want to stand out, and you want to be a television wrestler or a star, understand you can't be like everybody else. So I'm not saying everybody has to be a jacked up sicko freak like me, but you have to be able to walk into public and people go, look at you like, what is that? That's different. You can't just be normal.
When they put the title on for EC3, was it just like something that they had promised you, or were you surprised by it, or were you like, oh my god, I'm the man now? Like, you know, I'm the world champion.
I didn't know I was going to be the champion until that pinfall happened. I mean, maybe there's an idea the day of that I was. You never know. Nothing's ever promised. I think people try to build promises into contracts now, and I think that's absurd and ridiculous. Like, if you are as good as you think you are, you don't need to be guaranteed. I need to be a champion in the year. That's cowardice shit to me. So there's never a promise, there's never a guarantee, and that's how I kind of like to live, because that makes me want to work for something and to earn something. I could say, as the career was progressing, the trajectory I was on, one thing about TNA to WWE is like one's completely micromanaged while the other one has some leeway. When you have the leeway, you may not know when and where to take your character and evolve it and go up
your ribs on that kick.
But I kind of was able to see that, so it kind of went from side-parted EC3, just beating people, to like, shit, I'm in the ring with Sting and he's kicking my ass, but I barely get out of there alive. Next thing you know, Bully Ray's throwing me through tables, so now I'm becoming like a warrior in a sense, because I have to go hardcore with like a hardcore legend. And then, working towards, I have a goofy sidekick and we have a lot of fun and it's very funny, but like only one of us can make it, so I have to execute him live in front of his family and kind of take this sadistic, crazy, sociopath to another level, because now you're in the ring with the greatest wrestler of all time. How are you going to win and beat him if you're still the same as you were? Kind of ha-ha and funny. So I think those things make a lot of difference, but again, it's not something people teach.
I'm just curious, like, does the wrestler, like, do you feel like I'm the man, like I'm important, I gotta carry this thing? Is that weight? Is that pressure? Or you're just like, oh, this is great, like I'm booking against Sting and Lashley and Angle and I'm destroying Spud. Like, what's the thought process of the wrestler that's the champ?
It's an honor and it's pressure, but you're honored by the pressure, because if you're having that pressure, that means people believe in you to deliver. So
when you're the champ, is your focus like I got to hold this for a while, or I'm just going to become evolving, the title doesn't matter as much?
I think there is a narcissistic need and want to like have a sustained title reign and a numerical value attached to it. But in theory, if you're the champion for 1 minute or 100 days or 700, like that means the company believes in you in some aspect. So you do respect that. The need is to constantly increase the business. So, because when you're put with that task, that pressure isn't just like, I'm the champion, everything's going to be easy. You're responsible, if you're a true, accountable, male, female individual, you're responsible for the success the company's going to have. So if the business starts going down while you're the champion, even if it's not your fault, it's your fault. You have to act like it is and do what's necessary. And there might be nothing you can do. It just might be how the tide's turning, and you have to work like it's your fault.
So Derek Bateman's not really you. You know what I mean? EC3 is more you, but how much of you is EC3? Or am I wrong? Or are you always that character? You know what I mean? How close are you to the character?
In early 20s, me was, Derek Bateman-ish, for sure. The late 20s to 30s to adult male who's seen the world and has life experiences and has great successes and great failures and, you know, heartbreak and triumph and tragedy and, you know, getting fucked over and things like that, like all those life experiences. Yeah, it's very much who EC3 is. I think myself as a creative, it's easier to live my truth in a character way. A, because it's good therapy, but B, it makes me authentic when I do and say things that I'm deriving it from a real place.
So when you say control the narrative, I always hear that now, even after you said that, now more than ever, for just like random shows like Succession, like everyone's always saying control the narrative. How important is that you know, WWE or somebody else isn't controlling the narrative for you? Like, you can kind of control your narrative. How important that is that?
It depends on how much am I willing to sacrifice.
What?
I mean, if WWE called right now and there's $1 million downside guarantee, but you have to be a plumber, you know, it's a very serious conversation I'd have with myself, and like, is that monetary value worth me not being able to creatively be fulfilled? I think it's important for anybody to want to be able to dictate who they are and where their life goes and what they do with it. So I think it's very important life mentality. And as far as career, even hypothetically, if that scenario doesn't happen.
No, it's just because on my fire.
You know, controlling the narrative isn't necessarily you. I have this great idea. I want to be the champion. I want to beat Roman. Like, okay, good idea, dumbass. No, like, here's what we want to do with you. What is their ideas, visions, and goal? Okay, how can I make this and have some control over how I portray it too? So, one thing about creative, not just in wrestling, but in any avenue, is it's at its best when it's a collaboration with people on the same page.
When did that kind of come into your head, psychology-wise, like control the...
Talking to Arnold in CYN, who said, yeah, man, you have to control your narrative now. And I was like, it's a t-shirt.
Oh, just like that.
Just like that.
Now, of course, NWA is one of the leagues. I know you were just in Mexico, right? You were just in the crash, but NWA seems to be, obviously, fresh in your mind, national champion. Is that somewhere you'd like to see yourself? I know you want to be world champion, but is that somewhere you see yourself long-term?
Yeah. I think the world's heavyweight champion, I think, would be quite an accolade to becoming a final version of myself as a 3-time world's heavyweight champion. I think NWA is poised and ready and can be built from the ground up. You know, I've been in scenarios before, especially with Impact. You know, the alleged, like, everything was changing, where I had to be the focal point and the focus and, you know, carry a burden, I guess. And I'm prepared to do that again, but I now have the experience. I can do it. I want to build NWA. I think there's a plethora of potential to provide something conducive, cohesive,